You're denying my claim? Oh, I don't understand. I have full coverage.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Hoganson, but it's
I
clear.
can't pay for this.
Excuse me. Claim.
I'm on a fixed income. And if you can't help me, I don't know what I'll do.
You authorized payment on the Walker policy?
Someone broke into their house, Mr. Huff. Their policy clearly covers him against
I don't want to know about their coverage, Bob. Don't tell me about their coverage. Tell me how you're keeping InsureCare in the black. Tell me how that's possible with you writing checks to every Harry Hardluck and Sally sob story that gives you a phone call.
Holy. This is so exactly accurate.
Sit down, Bob.
It's so miserable.
I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy. Ask me why.
Okay. Why?
Why what? Be specific, Bob.
Why are you unhappy?
Your customers make me unhappy.
What? You've gotten complaints?
Complaints I can handle. What I can't handle is your customers' inexplicable knowledge of InsureCare's inner workings.
Hey.
Experts, Bob! Exploiting every loophole, dodging every obstacle. They're penetrating the bureaucracy.
Did I do something illegal?
No.
Are you saying we shouldn't help our customers?
The law requires that I answer no.
We're supposed to help people.
We're supposed to help our people, starting with our stockholders, Bob. Who's helping them out, huh?
Deny, defend, depose. When I was a kid, I didn't even notice this was what was going on. I just thought it was a random storyline of a bad experience at work. They were giving this information a long time ago of what the problem was with healthcare systems. And now is when we see it. I feel like we need to go and rewatch some other shows as well just to see if there's any hidden gems. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen the news all about UnitedHealthcare and that gentleman, the shooter called Luigi with the squeegee. Something like that, but you know who he is. Well, things are starting to escalate a little bit. In fact, CEOs are really scared because of what is happening in New York, especially with the posters.
Hit lists and threats are being made right now after the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, according to an NYPD bulletin warning. With the bulletin reportedly noting that there are viral posts online sharing the names of CEOs and their salaries, as well as wanted signs of CEOs popping up around New York. With some of those signs reportedly saying UnitedHealthcare killed everyday people for the sake of profit. As a result, Brian Thompson was denied his claim to life. Who will be denied next? Wall Street CEOs should not feel safe. Deny, defend, depose. With a memo noting that many potentially see the suspect, Luigi Mangione, as a martyr, and they view his alleged actions positively, and as a result, this event might have a, quote, capability to inspire a variety of extremist and grievance-driven malicious actors to violence. Some online applying this anger not just to health insurance executives, but CEOs of any kind. And reportedly, people at this level are taking these threats very seriously, with an unnamed bank executive, for example, telling CNN. The big learning is that if you want to kill someone, you can kill them. It's really scary, but true. It seems crazy that we're just figuring this out. One security company telling the outlet that they received 70 requests from concerned companies within just 36 hours after the shooting. And the global head of intelligence at Kroll adding, corporate America is nervous. People are on high alert. Healthcare is the target now, but who's next?
Now people are putting their frustration in their own hands. They're trying to take it because the main issue that was always affecting a lot of the customers was the fact that you can always put this behind laws, lawyers to handle all these issues. And they would always win. And the families will always have to result in them losing their family or not being able to cover their claims, resulting maybe taking up loans. A lot of this is not really nice, especially if you've been paying for so long. Now, I'm not someone who advocates in killing and finding this as a resolution, because this is crazy. But at the same time, it's like there are about, 250, 300 million Americans. Maybe you've already pissed off half of those. Like, what makes you think that someone's just not going to take it in their hands and solve the situation? We've had lots of situations where, presidents are, have been taken out in the past. This shouldn't be a surprise that we're now seeing people taking it up towards corporate America. I have no dog in this race, but it's very interesting to see exactly how the sentiment and the responses are coming in from other people. But let's check them out, actually.
This killing has generated a very different reaction from some on the internet. Just take a look at some of these comments found under a CNN video about this story online. These are just a few, among dozens of hateful comments that we found. And that frustration is something that doctors say they've seen from patients throughout their careers.
I see people when they're at their lowest, when the system has failed them, And I'm frankly not surprised. They feel abandoned. They feel exploited. They feel lied to when it comes to the healthcare system, and especially insurances, because of the things you mentioned: denials, prior authorization, narrow networks, the cost of healthcare. It's been going on and bottling up for a long time.
In a CNN story that was just published about this, they note that a Facebook post that was put up by UnitedHealthcare expressing sadness about the CEO's death, it received 62,000 reactions. 57,000 of them were laughing.
Holy moly!
I mean, that's sad to think about. But look at this. I mean, and you're right. Most of these healthcare issues are life or death. And I have a sick dad home in Louisiana, and we go to the doctor all the time, and sometimes we get denied for things, and it doesn't feel good, And so I think people have a personal issue with the way their healthcare has been administered.
Honestly, the healthcare system in America is really broken. It is extremely broken. I was seeing the cost of insurance and the cost of medical care in America is sky high. Even for the smallest thing. I saw another lady who was going to visit the hospital. I think she was in the emergency room, or she was just in the medical room, and her bill was like $9,000. I don't even know how. It's not like you're paying for the Burj Khalifa hotel for 5 nights in. You're just going there for 1 or 2 days, maybe even a couple of hours of checkup, and you're being billed like that?
Something is wrong here.
What? There has to be some issues there. It's either the healthcare and the insurance company working hand in hand to exploit people.
Really interesting thing about this shooter for the CEO of UnitedHealthcare is the level of intelligence and efficiency that everyone's talking about, right?
Right, so my comment was the top comment on that video, so if you haven't seen it, you can go watch it. But here's what the comment said. I said, I went to the ER last week, got some saline solution in my eyes, and the bill was $4,000 with insurance. Without insurance, it was over $9,000, which is absolutely insane. So, of course, I contacted the hospital and asked for an itemized bill. And guess what? I'm going to show it to you. The first thing you need to see is that this is what they put in your eyes so that they numb them. I think he did maybe 4 to 6 drops, maybe 8. Almost $700 for that. This one are the little strips that they put in my eyes. They're about this long. They put them in my eyes to test if there was any more bleach or imbalance of chemicals in my eyes. They did that twice, so of course that was $80. This is the big one. Emergency room visit. $9,000 for an emergency room visit. No other information, just for the visit, right? $9,000. And then this right here, $130. They gave it to me on my way out. It's this.
130?
The crazy part is that they also prescribed me another one that I had to go buy. This. I didn't even need, I haven't used them all. I didn't need them that much of it. So that's insane that it's $130 for this.
Bro, their bill is crazy. $9,000. And then some of the things that they're pricing you on that product, like $130 for that little small, eye drop is crazy.
This is what I'm going to go to the hospital right now and dispute. On this piece of paper, it says that my emergency room was a level 3 emergency. Now, there are 5 emergencies. 5 is the least traumatic. 1 is you're basically dying. The average amount for a level 3 trauma ER visit is around $2,000. A level 1 is about $10,000, right? Okay. Level 3, they charged me $9,000 for that. That's insane. So what I'm going to do right now is head over to the hospital and go speak with their billing department.
Golly, bro. At this point in time, you might as well consider going to a black market to get yourself medical care than to go to the hospital. $9,000. I'm sure they're just throwing everyone at a level 3 or level 1 to put them on the highest billing so that they can just get charged. Because they make them assume that, hey, okay, your situation was critical, when yet it could be just something small, like maybe you could have a dislocation or heavy breathing due to asthma. But that's madness. And I can see why some people are really frustrated, because maybe all your bills are just covered up in medical expenses. And you're just being exploited to the ends of it, man. Let me know how y'all experiences are down below, because I don't have American medical care. I'm in Canada, so it'll be interesting to hear your perspective on that situation. There are very few people who side with the CEO. However, some of their takes is a little bit off, especially this one.
Someone just lost a child, a husband, a father. And all I'm seeing on social media is just people being happy about it. I am so confused. And on top of that, they're now wanting to create a GoFundMe for the person who committed the crime. They are cheering him on, and some people are even creating target lists of other people who may be next. What is going on? Can someone please explain this to me? When did we stop being human? What did Brian Thompson do that people are happy that he's now dead? What did Brian Thompson do that people on social media are willing or wanting to protect the shooter? Am I crazy that I don't understand?
It does not surprise me, country club mom, that someone wearing a literal $1 million worth of jewelry doesn't understand the cry of the huddled, unwashed masses. If the inability to read a room was a fucking person, you're not crazy. You're just thoroughly divorced from the realities of Americans, possibly humans. What did Brian Thompson do? He leads the company that far and away denies the most healthcare claims in America. A third of all claims his company denies. They deny so much it pulls up the industry fucking average. UnitedHealthcare and by extension Brian Thompson have caused deaths to their customers by denying claims for their insurance that they paid them for. Cruella, she said, let them eat cake.
Honestly, I would not expect her to understand because she probably doesn't have healthcare. She probably can afford, paying the top dollar for any type of medical care she wants. So she's out of touch with reality and what people are really suffering. As someone like her, I would have probably not had this take because now people are going to start looking for who you are. I would not have even spoken on this. But this has now sparked a few copycats, which is, I think, what the media didn't want. But because of how they're handling the situations and obviously how the frustration is now pouring out in the streets, it's like the same thing we saw in that movie V for Vendetta. Like, it just took one person and then the whole domino effect started happening. And you know how that movie ended. I don't know how too much say so on this because you know how the FBI is. As soon as you say something crazy, they're out to get you out of nowhere. I don't want to be one of those people. I'm sorry.
What's happening in America right now is getting concerning. This is the moment a mother from Florida breaks down in court after she was arrested for threatening her health insurance provider after they denied her claim. She allegedly said on a phone call to them, delay, deny, depose, you people are next. And because of what those words are referencing, the call was flagged by the FBI and was handed to local police, where they then arrested her, and now she faces charges of threats to conduct a mass shooting or an act of terrorism. Now, in efforts to crack down on potential violent copycats, despite Brianna telling police that she doesn't even own a firearm, the judge said that she will be held in jail on a bond of a whopping $100,000, calling it appropriate considering the status of our country at this point. And if she is convicted, those charges in Florida can carry up to a 15-year prison sentence. The sheriff said,
"We will take this very seriously and we will put you in jail if you do something like this. It is not a joke."
Brianna claimed to police that she is not a threat to anyone, but healthcare companies play games and deserve karma from the world because they are evil. So why is this so concerning? Well, because on one hand, some people are seeing this as an overly harsh punishment, a fear tactic used by authorities to stamp out a movement which is fueled by widespread frustration with the US healthcare system. But on the other hand, the problem is how many people share this frustration, because when you have that much support behind a movement which is rooted in violence, it's way more dangerous than most, which is why Brianna is given an unusually harsh punishment. People argue that if left unchecked, it risks inspiring more violence and things quickly unraveling into chaos. But the question is, what do you think? Were these measures justified or not?
Guys, let me ask you, does this infringe on your freedom of speech? I mean, she just said delay, deny, depose. You people are next.
Gotcha.
Some interesting choice of words, but I don't know if it really should carry that weight of having her arrested and thrown in jail for 15 years. That's crazy. To slap someone with that level of punishment is crazy. Especially now that we know that the FBI is tapping into people's phones. As soon as they hear you say something crazy,
That's a beautiful thing.
they're getting your ass.
We don't know really enough about this guy yet. It looks to me like he's a bit of a narcissist.
What do you mean? I think he was a narcissist. I think that he was clearly unhinged. I'm not sure that he's the great Robin Hood. Hang on.
Which guy? I'm sorry.
Hang on.
You're talking about
Luigi, the shooter,
or,
right?
Brian Thompson.
The one who shot Brian Thompson, Luigi, right? I'm just not sure that he's this great, heroic guy standing up against the healthcare system. I suspect
I'm not talking about that. This isn't about Luigi, who may or may not, he's been arrested, he's been charged. We may or may not know that he's the actual shooter. I'm talking about the public reaction to Brian Thompson's death.
No, I understand
and we do know about Brian Thompson.
I understand that.
We know about UnitedHealthcare, and that's the root of the discontent. That's the root of the public outcry. Luigi is just a vessel through which people are expressing their deep frustrations with the American healthcare system. So the question is, if you don't want murders like this to be happening, assassinations to be happening like this in the street, and I'm someone who does not believe in the death penalty and don't condone these kinds of vigilante instances of violence in either case. But if you want to get to the root of why people are so deeply unhappy, you have to, it resonates so deeply with people that this has happened, you have to get to the root of why there is this deep well of tragedy, despair, and outrage in the United States of America. And that has to do with what Brian Thompson has chosen to do with his life, and what companies like UnitedHealthcare have chosen to do to the American people.
But just to be clear, before I go to Natalie to respond to that, do you feel any empathy for Brian Thompson and his family?
I have infinite empathy for any individual as a person in their personal capacity. As his role as the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, I'm afraid I'm with the overwhelming majority, bipartisan majority of the American people who say, I'm saving my empathy for people who are much more vulnerable and have caused a lot less harm.
So to be clear, you don't have any empathy for him after he was executed?
Look at them shaking their heads.
I personally don't.
Right. Okay. Well, at least you're honest.
Was the man shocked that someone said that? Let's be honest, because every day we see killings happen across the world. Even in my own country, that it happens, and it hurts me so much to see that. And usually, that is something that is either funded by other parties that want to see the country poor. Companies always exploit other countries. They don't care how many people die in caves when they're mining for gold. They don't care how many people die in tragic deaths when they're trying to protect their land, when corporations are trying to take oil. And every time when we say, hey, we need justice for this, nothing comes around. So now it's a surprise when they find out that even people in their own country don't really care about, what happens to their CEOs of these big organizations or corporate America. It's interesting because how do you value who's more important in life? Like, I thought everyone's life was valuable, but it's starting to show its true colors. But let's check out what the situation is going on with Luigi, because things are not looking too good.
Luigi Mangione was handed over to New York in dramatic fashion to face the charges against him in the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. He was flown to the city from a Pennsylvania courthouse today after he dropped his extradition fight. Returning back to the place of his alleged crime, officials made an example of him by parading him in front of the cameras.
Oh, no.
He was shackled and flanked by lines of heavily armed law enforcement and followed by New York's mayor. While he was in the air, federal officials hit him with additional charges of their own, including murder and using interstate transport with the intent to murder. Now, if convicted, he was already facing life in prison. But with the federal charges, the death penalty could now also be a possibility. In court, he appeared in a navy sweater and khaki pants. He nodded along as the judge read out the charges against him and responded yes when he was asked if he understood them.
Yo, you remember in 2015, Dylan Roof, where the cops literally, the school shooter, literally was caught, and apparently the police took him to Burger King so he can get food. This is what they did with a school shooter. Like, he was taking out people's kids. For someone who took out the CEO, allegedly, I'm not going to say he did, but allegedly, they had the whole SWAT team ready for him. Even the mayor came to see that. That's crazy. This is not an easy way of dealing with the issue. Figure out what the people are frustrated about and find a solution to their issues. Maybe change some laws in the judicial system. Maybe have people evaluate exactly why they're being denied. Penalize companies when they're going above a certain threshold or when they're denying cases for no reason. Have something to support the people, because doing this just doesn't help it at all. It makes it look like you don't listen to what the people are saying. it almost makes a clear divide, like, okay, you guys are with them, they're not like us, literally. And because of this, there has already been another copycat.
During a staff meeting, someone literally got up and stabbed their CEO after just 2 weeks.
Oh my
of
God.
working there.
No.
What is going on, bruh?
You see, 2 weeks. You know, now I can see there's something wrong here. You can't have people just going around just doing this for no reason. 2 weeks, you barely even know the guy. So now this is happening. Copycats all over the place. This just came out today. It's just a person who has mental issues and is probably sick in the head because did you see the picture? Look at that picture. Or if I can pull up the picture, you can see it. Like, does that look like a sane person?
It's funny how the word murder gets this neat little makeover as soon as it applies to the people in power, isn't it? The trick is brilliant in its simplicity. Control the language and you control the blame. They've got this highly polished, airtight definition of murder that just happens to exclude all of their favorite ways to do it. War? Not murder. The farther you sit from the blast, the cleaner your language gets. In the village where the bombs are dropped, it's blood and screaming and missing body parts and death. Murder. In the war room, it's just collateral damage written on a spreadsheet. Police shooting unarmed civilians? That's not murder. That's authorized use of justified force. Your baby brother dies from an insurance claim denial. That's not murder. That's standard exclusion. A mega corporation dumps toxins in your water supply? Again, that's not murder. That's an environmental externality. See, the powerful don't murder people. They manage resources. They don't starve people. They optimize their allocations. And they definitely don't unalive civilians. They maintain order. It's not murder if they rebrand it as a necessary sacrifice for the bottom line or the shareholders or, you know, whoever's trying to make money off of murder. Sometimes it's just the cost of doing business. So here's my question. If they get to decide what words mean, who gave them the power to make that decision? What if we stop accepting their definitions? What if we rip up their dictionary? What happens on the day that we strip away their sanitized bullshit language and start calling it by its name?
Now, this one is an interesting example of how to put all of these things into perspective, but let's check it out. And I liked his example.
Look at Jesse Waters' outrage because one CEO got Luigi'd. One CEO. Where was the outrage when we had 81 school shootings in 2024? Where is Sean Hannity's frustration at the 2,566 kids unalived by guns in 2023? Where is Laura Ingram's exasperation at the 18,874 firearm-related homicides in 2023? And finally, where's the anger from the media at the 68,000 number of Americans who are unalived each year due to a lack of health care? I hope you'll remember this simple example when you see the talking heads in our mass media telling us how we should be upset because one man was a victim of gun violence in the streets of America. I want you to remember when they tell you how outraged you should be because another person reached his breaking point because our system broke him. So when the media asks me to be outraged by one man's anger and desperation and act of violence, I'm afraid all I have to offer is thoughts and prayers.
The way he puts it in that perspective is very interesting because you can really see the vision of what's happening.
What did you think about when you first heard that Brian Thompson had been assassinated?
You know, this is something I've been trying to ring the bell on for years. I think it's been 3.5 or 4 years since I did Rogan the first time, because so often when we talk about the broken healthcare system, people are so focused on big pharma in their role in the chronic disease crisis and how many Americans are dying every year of chronic disease. But one of the pillars of the problem is, and one of the major players that a lot of folks don't realize, are the big insurance companies. And what happened to Brian is obviously tragic. The loss of human life is always tragic. But I would say so are the loss of the 1.7 million Americans that are dying every year of chronic disease through a broken system that's failing them. A system that does deny and delay treatment for individuals that have spent their hard-earned money and paid their dues news month after month, and these people have to beg and plead for the care that they've worked so hard for. So yes, never is violence justified. Nobody has the right to play judge, jury, and executioner. But I'll give a caveat. Neither do the insurance companies.
One thing I'd also say is that a part of the healthcare system that really needs to work, I mean, at least I want to put the onus also on the people, because instead of you just going out and paying your insurance every time, go and do some research. Go and do some research on the type of insurance that works well for you and the ones that you can get good coverage. If not, find alternatives, maybe outside the country, because you don't have to resort to this. Now, obviously, if you don't have the funds to do that, of course it makes sense. But I mean, you have Mexico, that's just across the border. That's just an option. Needless to say, it's also good to also make sure that you're aware of your health situations. You know, do some research. There's an excellent person who I was watching, and he really gave a good understanding of what people need to do. But I'll let him speak because he really puts it together well.
The American healthcare system is truly doomed. What is the root cause of all this? Well, quite frankly, the forgotten patient. Large hospital corporations and insurance companies continue to function without regard for patient outcomes. Well, is there any hope in this seemingly overwhelming situation? Well, let me tell you how I deal with it. Honestly, one patient encounter at a time. With every family and patient that I take care of, I take care of them as if they're my own. How can you move the needle in a positive direction? Well, at your next doctor's visit, use it as a time to educate yourself, ask questions, become informed. Number 2, research on the internet. Find experts that have opinions about your particular situation. Sadly, most Americans spend more time investigating and researching a refrigerator or a car than they do their own health care. And number 3, accountability. Take responsibility for your own health care. Engage in the process. If you do not engage in the doctor-patient relationship, it's doomed to fail.
I'd also recommend, if you have groups that you can set up of having people gone through this exact experience and have come out successfully, and they can share notes amongst each other, it's best to also set up groups like this. Have people in your community come together and share this type of information and knowledge, because it's not good to have a situation where everyone is getting screwed over by the health insurance. It's best that we all come together and collectively gather all the information and knowledge that we've found and share it amongst each other so that we can understand, okay, which healthcare insurance should we go with? Which one is not covering us? Which one is gonna give us the most amount of headaches? So that way we don't have to give our money to the people who are gonna deny our claims all the time. So these are some good ideas that we can really put forward instead of, you know, taking matters into our own hands. I don't think that that's a better solution, but I feel like we need to share this information amongst each other. But these are just some of my suggestions. I don't have all the answers, but let me know what your suggestions are, what your experiences are with United Health, what your thoughts are about Luigi and everything that's been popping off. Let me know down in the comments below. But if you like this video, make sure you like. If you're new, subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. Next year is going to be big, and I'm hoping that we can keep pushing this channel to greater heights. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.